So, Rakhi-ben, would you like to share a few words before we start? How do we start?
Yes, brother. Om Shanti. Good morning. As we all know, we are heading towards the second innings of studying Avyakt Murlis from 2nd of September. Today we have Saurabh with us, who's going to take us through his experience on how to create a stage before we start studying the Murlis from 1969. So over to you, Saurabh, to take us through preparing ourselves for the stage to begin our studies from 2nd of September.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Rakhi-ben. Is the voice okay, Rakhi-ben?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity and to spend this time with all of you. And we were just discussing with Rakhi-ben about, I got to know that, we are about to begin a revision of the Avyakt Murlis starting from 69. We thought that today might be a good time to just maybe, step back a little bit and see, you know, this entire Baba's perspective and intention, behind the Avyakt Murli, especially the early days, 69, 70, early 70s. And, when I came into Gyan, I remember when I used to, read those Murlis and I really couldn't understand much. They were so deep. I could understand the literal, meaning, but then the experience, the feelings, the intentions, the bhavna, the perspective behind, what Baba was sharing, it kind of slowly began to make more and more sense. Even now, I don't have full sense, but I'm still trying to, we are all on the same journey. And it's very nice that, we've started from 80s and 90s because that has laid the foundation for us to have a very stable stage. Now that, over the last couple of years or 2-3 years that of, studying the Murlis on a daily basis, now we have all the tools to deal with any issues, any problems. We know everything, what to do, what not to do. We follow Srimad. We listen to Murli daily. We follow all the Maryadas. All of that is there. And then I always used to feel, Baba, what next? What next? And, these Avyakt Murlis from 69 onwards, I feel are the real, direction from Baba to take on the next step. We have reached the state where, we are all knowledgeful, we are all Jnani to Atmas, we all have experiences with Baba in yoga, but then making this stage, making our stage Avyakt. And so when Brahma Baba made this effort, pretty much, what we hear from the stories in the last year or so, from 68 onwards, of just completely detaching from the body. And that led to, his reaching the Karmatit stage, him becoming a Vyakt. And then, Bap and Dada coming, through Dadi Gulzar to tell us the secrets of creating that Avyakt stage. And so, for this soul, I've been, having some reflections on the Avyakt stage and through Baba's Murlis, and seeing, how ultimately it all boils down to how much am I able to detach myself from the body. It's like becoming a Shariri. We listen to this word, a Shariri, a lot, but then how much am I able to really experience it in a very genuine way, not just as a meditation practice, but in a very real way. So even whilst doing anything, that feeling of being a soul detached from the body becomes very natural. So the thought was to maybe, together discuss a few aspects around our relationship with the body and how we can make our stage more of it. So I had a few slides, if that's okay to share, Rakhi.
Yes, brother.
Oh. And so few of Baba's inspirations and reflections to create the Avyakt stage. And so we look at Baba's world. So there is one world that we all live in, and this is the corporeal world, the physical world. But then Baba's world is above and beyond the story. So whatever is happening right now, even as we speak, even in this call, it's all a part of the story. It's all happening in the corporeal world, in the physical dimension. But Baba's world is above and beyond. There is no space, there is no time. That's where Baba lives. And that's where all of us also live as spiritual beings. He enters the story as a visitor with the only purpose to awaken souls. It's Baba's only purpose of coming here in this physical dimension is to awaken souls from their sleep of ignorance, from their sleep of body consciousness. Story, the physical story, is limited by expectations, challenges, fears, which is all Karambandhan. But life outside the story is filled with freedom, security, zero expectations, and zero desires. And that state of zero expectations, zero desires, security is karmatit, where my truth, my reality, my dignity all exist outside the story, naturally and eternally. So even right now, if we can see, like right now, we may be sitting in a room and whatever we are seeing inside the room is one reality. But when we step outside the room or outside our home, we still see the home, but from a distance, from outside. And so from outside, the home looks very different than from inside. And so this practice of living outside the story as if the entire expansion is merged in the story. Like, beautiful song, like it said, Vistar ko avsar kare, ashariri pal mein ban jaye. And so all the Vistar is inside the story, and the Sar is outside the story. So even right now, if I just take a moment to turn my attention to the reality which is beyond the story. And so this dimension, the physical dimension, with our body, with our name, with our everything around our life, our to-do list today, even the seva and the center, everything, it's all inside the story. And let me turn my attention to outside the story, where it's just silence. And these souls, we are with Baba. We are watching the story down below. And just like Baba stays here, we also stay here. And whenever an action needs to be performed, we enter the physical dimension as a guest. And we've all been given a physical instrument through which we can stay in this physical dimension. And that physical instrument is called the body. The more I love Baba, I begin to spend time with him, begin to admire him and his unconditional nature of giving. Life outside the story is beautiful, where Baba and his world are real and not just a practice or meditation. So it's not a practice. It's like, we are trained to practice. We've all trained, we've all practiced a lot of things. But then this Avyakt stage is not just a practice, but it's a reality. So where we live outside the story in our real form. And the more I live outside the story, Baba's qualities are activated in the soul in a natural way without any effort. So one is to make effort, make spiritual effort. And like we are trained to make any effort, from the moment we were, young, and then, we grew up, we always tried hard to achieve something. And many times in the spiritual, life also we feel the same. And it's true to some extent when we have to adopt a spiritual lifestyle, wake up early and, do certain practices. But then after a certain point, then to take the quantum leap, then it's not just a practice. It's not just meditation, but it's a reality. And so this love for Baba, when the soul feels love for Baba and love from Baba, then Baba's sanskars become natural in the soul. Like Dadi Gulzar, always used to say, Baba is my sansar and Baba is in my sanskar. And so in the same way, like Dadi Gulzar always, whenever we saw her, she would always remain in the Avyakt stage. It was difficult for her to come into the Avyakt. And so once someone asked Dadi, what Purusharth do you do? And Dadi said, Dadi doesn't come into body consciousness, that she then has to make effort to become soul conscious. She stays outside. She stays with Baba. And so it's natural for her to stay soul conscious. And so this Avyakt stage, this natural stage where we exist beyond the body, it is unnatural for us to come inside the body. It is natural for us to stay outside the story as a star in our subtle angelic form without a physical body. And so Avyakt Bapdada lives outside the story. Sakar Baba made the effort to consciously live outside the story, and the month of January inspires us to do the same. That's basically the Avyakt month. And now as we are heading towards revising Baba's Avyakt Murlis, it's good to be in that consciousness, to live outside the story. So even if I'm, working, I'm doing everything, but to consciously live outside the story, not just be there, touch, and then come back, but stay there. To stay there and just to see the body from a distance, to see the story from a distance, to see all the activities from a distance, as if it is happening to somebody else and not me. I'm beyond, just there, and I'm just seeing everything from there. And then the body, it's a different kind of relationship that we experience with the body. So in body consciousness, we've used to using the body to see drama, to hear drama, to these sense organs are like sensors so that I, the soul, can experience this three-dimensional movie that is going on. But then this realization that body is the instrument that keeps me in the story. Just like astronauts need a spacesuit so that they can stay in the space, just like that, we souls are astronauts. We live up there, but in order for us to stay here in the physical dimension, we need spacesuits, and this body is that spacesuit, that instrument. Without the body, I'm naturally beyond the story. The story is now coming to an end, and it's time to leave this body to become bodiless. It's like these souls have been on an eternal journey. We came at the beginning of this cycle. We have taken many, many instruments, physical instruments, and it's now the end. We all know that. It's now the end. It's now time for I, the soul, to leave this physical body and to become bodiless. So, in a moment, let us experience being bodiless. As if body does not exist. And I, the soul, am eternally beyond the body, beyond the expansions of the body, beyond the religions of the body, beyond the relationships of the body, beyond the name, beyond the form, beyond matter. Just a soul. That's who I am. And so all our efforts ultimately boil down to this feeling of detachment from the body. Many times Baba would say that, Maya comes in so many different forms, but ultimately it's all a convoluted relationship with the body. When I, the soul, convoluted my relationship with the body, then all the vices started coming. And then when I, the soul, I realize my true relationship with the body, then in that consciousness, vices no longer exist. There's no room for vices. There's nothing called a vice. And so this principle, practice or realization of being bodiless, and if I foresee that moment, the moment I leave this body, the moment I leave this body, and I know that I have left many, many bodies before this body. The moment I leave this body after a few days or even today, could be even today, would be extremely special and unique. Why? Because all other times I'd left the body was to come back in the story. As we took on many, many lives, we were getting more and more involved in the story. But this is the only time when I leave the body to go back beyond the story, to my Baba, my home. This is the only time when I, the soul, I leave the body to go back home. I don't come back into this cycle. I go back home and then come into the next cycle. And Baba would have prepared everything for I, the soul. And so I realized that I leave this body in order to go beyond. And this is a very special time in the cycle. The last, the final moment when I leave without any attachments, being completely karmatit, so that I, the soul, I leave, I fly back home, I'm with Baba. Everything else stays down below. And so a very nice way to really invoke that Avyakt stage is to emerge my last and final moment in the story. The moment when I leave the body, zero attachments. just a sense of gratitude to Baba and Rama for a beautiful journey of 5,000 years, a sense of completion, and saying the final goodbye with only one word in my mind, my heart, and my eyes, Baba. So just like Brahma Baba reached that stage of being karmatit, where he left his body in Baba's remembrance. In the same way, all of us also, our perfect forms are there upstairs in the subtle regions. In the moment we leave our bodies in that awareness, now is the time to just say goodbye to the story of 5,000 years. And it's time to just detach, be in essence, and just leave the body in Baba's remembrance. So let me invoke that stage, that feeling. Take a moment in silence to experience this tower of peace within. The final stage. Baba says, Asthiyan hi sthiti ki yadgar hai. And so Baba's ashes remind me to become bodiless. And so let us take a moment to experience that. Let us all in our minds go to Pandav Bhavan and we reach the Tower of Peace. We sit all around the Tower of Peace. And with this intention, thought that we are here to become Avyakt, just like Brahma Baba. We are here to experience what Brahma Baba experienced in his final moments. We are here with this realization that we souls have journeyed 5,000 years. And this is the time now to say goodbye and leave. Leave with a sense of gratitude towards Baba and Rama. Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Just a few thoughts on creating the Avyakt stage, and would like to open up for everyone to share their thoughts, experiences, feelings. Option. Were you sharing something, Rakhi Ben?
Om Shanti. Saurabh, I was requesting you if you can take us through your experience of reading the Avyakt Murlis of the early stages from 1969 to 1979-80. Any specific experience that you had that will support us to look at uh, studying these Murlis?
I remember that we have this Avyakt Murli book in Madhuban, and so when I started to read, and initially they were so deep, and it took me some time to realize that Sakar Murlis are basically uh, to work on on a very practical level on dharanas and on maryadas and Srimad and everything. But then to reach to this Avyakt stage in Avyakt Murli, it needed sense of reflection, personal reflection, to really sit with one sentence or one paragraph from the Murli and just hold it for a week or maybe 10 days and to just see everything which is happening around me from that lens, from that perspective. And that's when I realized that every every line of Baba's Murli, it allowed me to then see the world from a different perspective. And I remember there's one Murli from July of 1969 where Baba shares a practical method to create the Avyakt stage. And Baba asks in that Murli a lot of questions. Okay, what do you all feel? And then everyone shared their thoughts, soul consciousness, and everything. And then Baba said one word, one word. And I really felt in my spiritual journey, the more I've emphasized that one word, the more I've been able to experience Avyakt Murlis. And that one word Baba said is Mehman. Mehman. And Baba said, अपने आप को मेहमान समझो तो अपने आप अव्यक्त स्थिति बन जाएगी. And so then when I talk, am I talking as a guest? When I'm working, am I working as a guest? When I'm doing seva at the center, is it as a guest? Everything, my entire life, is it from the consciousness perspective of being a guest? And so for me, that became very easy practice, but very impactful. Just to feel that I am a guest. I am a guest.
Thank you, Saurabh, for sharing that. The entire space of I am the guest, I am a guest in this world. While you were sharing this, is what I was getting was when you are a guest, you will not have a possession or an attachment to anything that shows up in this space, whether it's going to be anything that I'm using or any relationship that I'm connected with. So the flow of unconditional love will go without any barriers in relationships, and there'll be no space for having that possession that this is my house, this is my thing to be used. And that's the Avyakt stage is all about. But how do one look at consistently and constantly practicing this? What I see is the axis is reading and studying the Avyakt Murlis and imbibing that. Thanks for sharing that, Om Saurabh.
Thank you. Thank you. I have that little excerpt from the Murli if you would like us to maybe go through for a few minutes. if we have time.
Sure.
So this is the Murli of July 1769. And this is also the month of Dadi Ji. And so just remembering her as well. And so Baba says, do you like the Avyakt stage, or do you prefer to come into the corporeal stage? Is there sound in the Avyakt stage? Do you wish to stay beyond sound? When all of you are trying to stay beyond sound, and you also like that, then why do you call Bap Dada into the corporeal world? What effort should you make in order to constantly remain in the Avyakt stage? Give an answer in just one word through which you can maintain the Avyakt stage. Which one word should you remember so that you're able to create the Avyakt stage? Give one word through which your thoughts, words, and actions remain Avyakt whilst being in the corporeal stage. And so Baba is asking one word. And so someone said to be soul conscious. Baba says soul consciousness means Avyakt stage. So what should you remember for that stage? What effort should you? Gradually, all of you will have the stage when you will be able to know beforehand what is inside each one. Beforehand, what is inside each one. The soul is able to, completely align itself. This is why you're made to practice this. The more you stabilize yourself in the Avyakt stage, whether someone speaks through the mouth or not, the more you will be able to know that one's feelings beforehand. Such a time will come. This is why you're made to practice this. So Baba was asking you first, what one word should you remember? And then Baba said, to consider yourself to be a guest. To consider yourself to be a guest. If you consider yourself a guest, you will be able to become the final perfect stage that has been remembered. If you consider yourself a guest, then whilst being in the corporeal form, you'll be able to remain in the Avyakt stage. A guest does not have any attachment to anyone. We are guests even in this body. We are also guests in this old world. Since we are guests in this body, why should we have attachment to it? You have to use this body for just a little while. What will you become there if you become a guest here? The more you are a guest here, the greater a master of the world you will be there. And so in Hindi, in Sanskrit, there is a very beautiful saying. It says, Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi Devo Bhava. So to the extent that I experience being a guest now at the confluence stage, to that extent, I'll experience being a deity in the golden age. Baba says, you're not the masters of this world, you're guests in this world and masters of the new world. The reason you come into the feeling of the corporeal is that you do not consider yourself to be a guest. You consider yourself to have a right over things. This is why you have attachment. If you consider yourself as a guest, all these things will finish. And so I felt it's a very easy way, but a very powerful way to really shift completely my spiritual perspective and outlook. It's like every day, I'm a guest. I'm a guest.
Considering something which is external to us and accepting that I'm the guest is still possible. And I think the only access to look at considering ourselves to be as a guest, I, the soul, is a guest in my own body, is the stage of being bodiless. or being Shariri. And that's the area for me, which is challenging at times. And that's what I'm taking up from this extract that you shared, Saurabh. Thank you for the deep churning that you started sharing this extract of the Murli. And that's what touched me while you were sharing on this, that this is the practice. Accepting ourselves being guest in this body as well is an access to be practicing bodiless stage. Would anybody else like to share? Mauna Ben, Madhu Ben, Vinod Bhai?
Shanti. What I could say is, sister, we do daily read Murli online for members of the family at home. And the time usually permits us to go through this title of the Murli, Prashna, Uttar, Dharana, and then Vardhan, slogan, and we repeat it all the way back. And when it comes to Sunday, it's so that everybody makes time and reads the Avyakt Murli detailedly and churn it up. It takes around 45 to 50 minutes. And this day is such a special day because everybody feels that there is some difference in the Murli. It is healing and that they are having some solutions to take back home. These are special. Sakar Murli does come with lots of new things, definitely. Avyakt Murlis have somehow have got those fine nectars of healing, I feel. And these come up in such a way that what people wanted at home, they get that thing out of Murli. It puts less burden on me to counsel them or help them out, whereas the Baba really and readily gives them what they wanted, and that stays for long. When I actually see them on video, and I feel that yes, they are now relieved. I feel that yeah, probably this was the word that I was not able to get. This was the idea that they needed to carry themselves forward. So this is what I have experienced through sharing of Avyakt Murlis at home. Thank you, Baba.
Om Shanti. My experience of reading Avyakt Murlis is that in Sakar Murlis, we get the points of regarding the service. Baba gives us directions as to do as to what service should be done today. But in Avyakt Murlis, we get the answer of how to do those things. Avyakt Murlis are meant to increase our dharnas. So Baba understands very well that what kind of feelings we are going through. So before going to the service, if we go through the Avyakt Murli of that particular day, then we automatically we imbibe that personality and make our personality in such a way that we are automatically able to do the service in the way which is required, exact accurate way. And we are able to interact with the person of whom we are doing the service in a proper way, so that that person is able to understand our language. So Avyakt Murlis basically help us, and also often I get the answers of my questions. In Sakar Murlis also we get the answers, but besides that we have certain kinds of situations in our life for which we are trying to find out the answers. These questions are not the outside regarding the outside things, but it's in our at our thought levels, man ki baat which we say. So Baba basically understands our feelings and the reply of our feelings are very gracefully answered in the Avyakt Murlis. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. I just wanted to basically give feedback that the technique of being a guest in the body, guest in this world, is a very useful takeaway for me that I will practice in conjunction with yesterday's or this Sunday's Avyakt Murli of being a detached observer. So the two seem to sort of go very well together. And I just want to thank the people involved in this, Saurabh and the other co-hosts, as well as participants in awakening that concept again. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you, everyone. Any other thoughts? We could also maybe discuss. I don't know how much time we have, Rakhi Ben, but this whole practice of being a guest. We could share some of our perspectives and also what comes in the way and what a few experiences or realizations that allow us to practice being a guest.
That would be a wonderful practical guide, yes.
Like one thing I always remember, so if I'm going somewhere as a guest, I always know that, and it's in the back of my mind that I'm here for 2 days. I'm here for 2 days. It's like the exit is always very, very clear for me. So then even if I'm going to a friend's place or even somewhere else, I know I'm here for a few hours. And so this perspective that I the soul am here for a few days at least, just at the most a few days or today, like that. I think that really helps me make this very firm inside. Yes, I'm a guest for this much duration. And then just like if I go to a friend's place, I know that even whilst I'm there, I know it's now time. Let me wind up. I have to go back home. And so my world outside that place is very real for me. And so in the same way, it's like I know it's now time to wind up, and the world outside, our home, our family, Baba, it's very real. It's not just practice, but it's very real. Yes, we have to go back. Baba is waiting for us, and so that's one kind of little deeper aspect of the practice of being a guest.
This also gives access to be in the moment. There is a backdrop which is very clear. The path is very clear. The aim is clear that I'm going to be going back, or whatever is there in front of me is the ultimate reality is going to be going away. So that allows me to be present in the moment completely and practice oneness. That is what I was getting while you spoke. So that's another practice to look at.
Yeah, right. Nice. Very nice.
The last few talks and the topic of being a guest on earth has been really liberating for a few seconds now, because I am going through a phase where I'll have to vacate an accommodation and shift to a new place altogether at very short notice. and lots of thoughts are coming in mind as to this is not fair, this is not right in a way. And this idea of I being the soul on this earth, taking this body to carry out my functions, has given me a new perspective of living further ahead. It's not going to be that difficult, I understand, to move out. It's still a blessing. It's in drama, but the way the times have changed over last few hours has been really difficult to digest immediately. But this concept and this idea and discussion itself is really a gift for me today morning. It's easy to take this perspective and live the day to day. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Vinod Bhai. There was another thought that that comes about being a guest is, one is a guest and the other is host. So if I'm a host and if I'm attending, if I have a guest, then I'll try my best to meet all the needs of the guest, even without them asking, or I'll try my best so that they are comfortable during their stay. And so in the same way, it's like we souls are guests here, and this drama is the host. Drama is hosting us here. This body, this drama, nature, five elements, everything, they're hosting us. And so, to the extent that we remain a guest in the consciousness of a guest, then the host will automatically work itself out so that the guest is comfortable. So, with that consciousness of guest, then I don't really need to plan a lot also, because things will automatically happen. The drama will work so that the guest is comfortable. Only when the guest overstays or guest crosses his limits, that's when the host feels little, in the same way, if I, the soul, I feel, no, I'm a guest, I don't have right or I don't own anything here. And so then the drama automatically works, to make the soul, feel comfortable. And that's why it's the golden age, it's abundant, it's because the soul is coming with that, perspective.
Adding on to what you just mentioned, Saurabh, so even if we perform our role as a host with the consciousness of I am a guest here, also given access to serve myself, to liberate, at the same point of time serve others who comes in my energy circle, because my vibrations are clean and pure. There is a clarity that I'm here for some time, I'm come here to play my role, and I'm going to be going back. So that was one more thing that I got as a perspective to look at between what's the host and what's the guest. And that allows to also bring in the element of not crossing the limits. Like we
Right.
say in the Lakshman Rekha, and because after, as per Ramayana, what we speak about, only when Sita crossed the Lakshman Rekha, where the whole episode happened. So that's another perspective to
Very
look
nice.
at.
Yeah, very nice. As a guest, I don't cross the line, and so I'm not kidnapped by Ravan, right? Yeah.
As a guest, I don't cross the line at the same point of time. As a host, I know what's my limitation, and I would not allow anyone to come or overpower or dominate at that same point of time. So there is a clear demarcation on the role, which allows freedom and perform the role as it's meant to be.
Right. Very nice.
So as Vinod Bhai shared, today, day before yesterday, we were on a family get together. And while I reached the venue, after a few moments, I realized that I'd lost my money purse. They were my sisters along with me, and they said, "Okay, let's go and search." I said, "It's okay. We can definitely search, but let's not stop our activities because of something which is lost." And that very moment, what I realized was maybe that money was useful for somebody else, and could be it's my past karma that's getting completed here. And immediately after that moment, the whole environment again lit up, because the moment we realized that this is lost, and there was a good amount of money in it which got lost. Everybody had this moment of this should not have happened at this point of time. And the moment I said it's okay, whatever has happened. We did search, we did our part of work, we did not get it, it's fine. So that was one thing which I was getting, that when you're not attached to things around, it becomes easy for us to be in the moment.
One good thing about Avyakt Murli is Dadi has a fantastic intellect. Baba probably gives her to it. She mixes English and Hindi words, and the meaning that comes out of it is so fantastic. Two words, holy as being pure in English, and holy, ho gaya, it has happened. That's one word I carry, and pass, pass, pass. These three pass again are fantastic combinations of meanings in English and Hindi literature. Past ho gaya, past closeness, and fit pass, close to Baba. So such words really open up the mind to thinking broader. Thank you.
Yeah, similar to this is what Baba mentions in few Murlis, that mere ko tera karna, and the difference is only M&T.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to share before we move on to the meditation? We can take one more sharing. Or else, Abhiban, can you share the flyer for the 1st September inauguration before Saurabh takes on the meditation? So we have the inauguration for our second innings of Avyakt Murli by Rajubhai and Sunanda Benji at 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. India time, which is going to be evening time on 1st of September. With regards to the morning class on 1st of September, we will make the announcement tomorrow morning. So invite each one of you to be present for this inauguration, and also invite other brothers and sisters from the family. Om Shanti.
Shanti.
Bye. just put a message to you. Would you like to take a single song while you're meditating?
Sure, Zarur. Yeah. जी करता है बाबा हम पास तेरे उड़ आए, पास तेरे उड़ आए। जी करता है बाबा हम पास तेरे उड़ आए, पास तेरे उड़ आए। जो पिंजरे से उड़ कर पंछी नील वतन में जाए, पास तेरे उड़ आए, पास तेरे उड़ आए। कोई शय ना भाती है अब याद घर की आती है, करे इशारा किरण तुम्हारी जैसे हमें बुलाती है। तेरी याद में समा के हम तो तुम सा ही बन जाए, पास तेरे उड़ आए, पास तेरे उड़ आए। जी करता है बाबा हम पास तेरे उड़ आए, पास तेरे उड़ आए। Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Baba.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Saurabh Bhai. Thank you, Divine Family. And we shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Om Shanti, everyone. Have a wonderful day.